I think this is recording. Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Skeel. I'm going to take off my glasses because there's a glare here and try not to use them very much. This is the first recording of an 8-part series that I'm going to be doing called The 7 Keys to Make Your Life a Heaven. And this is video number 1. So welcome. I want to start with a little backstory because some of you may find this video out of the blue and not really know why I am doing a video series on 7 Keys to Make Your Life a Heaven, or even know that I have published a book called You Can Make It Heaven, How to Enrich Your Life with Abundance and Loving. So let me tell you a little bit about the book. The book's been out for many years, actually. And this book is a summary, or let's say what I knew at the time, because it was published in 2002, about how to make a life a heaven. The impetus for this book really was my own life back in my 30s, which was over 30 years ago. I was living a very heavenly lifestyle, a lifestyle that many people might think, oh, wow, you're living a heaven on earth. It was very wealthy. It was very opulent. It was full of a lot of riches and a lot of things, a lot of self-image. I'd spent pretty much the first 30 some odd years of my life questing after that self-image, that approval, that recognition, being seen in a certain way, that kind of thing. And I had done a pretty good job. But what happened in my mid-30s was that I began to feel inside that although I had all of these riches and house and car and husband and children and that kind of thing in the world, I was not happy. There was a gaping hole inside of me, and I didn't know why. And I thought something was wrong with me. So as the universe will have it, it came in to assist me big time. And the story is actually in my book, so I'm not going to go into the whole story. But let's just say that there were a number of life 2x4s that came along, you know those, like divorce and bankruptcy and losing lifestyles and all of that kind of stuff that came in big time and set me on a journey to find out what is going to fill and fulfill that deep hole inside of me. What is going to really make me happy? What is going to really light up my life? And so I set out on a quest. And that quest led me into not only finding my own, what I call heaven, which is an inner experience. It's a heartfelt, heart on fire place where I live my life from, but also began to work with others. So that's what the book is. I wrote it after working with others for 10 years in a spiritual counseling practice. And no matter why people came to me, as a counselor, as a spiritual counselor, whether or not they were going through a divorce or had relationship issues, or was facing some kind of financial bankruptcy or setback, or they were just depressed, or they had memories from the past, abuse from the past, some kind of family of origin, dysfunctionality that they really wanted to heal. Maybe it was addictions, maybe it was, just all the things that life can throw at us. It did not matter, because as I began to work with them and show them and demonstrate to them and allow them to experience what was beyond all of the hurt and the disappointment and the rejection and the abandonment and the wounds and the trauma, they began to uncover what they called and what I called their heaven. And so I say heaven is an inside job. And I have found that to be true over and over and over again. And so I wrote the book. And I published the book, and then I began teaching from the book. And that was 16 years ago. So one of the things that I'm doing now, 16 years later, is that I want to glean out, I want to kind of pull out of the book uh, keys to how you can make your life a heaven. You know, when you read a book, there's a lot in a book like this, a lot of stories, a lot of teaching, a lot of examples. You know, some people I know that have had the book highlighted almost every paragraph. And so it's like, how do you really tease out, if you will, the keys that I can begin, that you can begin today to begin to make your life a heaven? And of course, if you're interested in the book, there'll be a link to my website in the, I guess, the copy below this video, so you can purchase it for yourself if you'd like to read the book. But today, I want to talk about heaven. I wrote a book about heaven. What is it? Why am I writing a book about heaven? And what do I mean by heaven? Well, obviously, when most people, when they hear the word heaven, they think about a destination, right? And yet that's not what I'm speaking of. I really believe about heaven on earth. I really believe that you can live a life of heaven right here, right now. So my book is all about finding that, discovering that, what that is for you. Now, you know, when I put out my book years ago, heaven to me was around joy and radiant loving. And I spent a lot of years bringing that forward, experiencing that, living that, and demonstrating that, and really embodying it. And my heaven now, many years later, is health and wealth and happiness. So heavens can evolve. They can shift. They can evolve as you evolve. And they're not static, just because you're not. As a divine being, as a being that is able to really, let's say, shift your life into a heaven, you're not static. So, but we got to start somewhere, right? We have to start today, or whenever you're watching this video, right now, right here, right now. So my question to you is, what is your heaven? When I say heaven is, I want to say heaven is present. Heaven is present. Now you might say, oh yeah, well, I'm not aware of that. I don't even know what that is. How do I know that? And I want to say, don't believe me. And yet I would say heaven is present. So let me show you another example, or a little teaser, if you will, of what's in the book. And this is a magic eye picture. I hope you can see that pretty well. It's got a lot of dots on the page. It looks like a lot of squiggles and dots and, you know, kind of an abstract whatever. And the reason it's called a magic eye picture is because within this picture, there is another image. There's another image in here. And yet you don't see it right now, do you? Well, maybe some of you do, but usually you have to do, there's a little tricks to be able to see the picture. Okay, so what if when I say your heaven is present, what if I say, yeah, just like there's another picture here, there's something else going on in your life that you are not aware of because of all of the dots on the page that are present. And what do I mean by the dots on the page? What I'm talking about is your story of your life up until now, all your disappointments, betrayals, abandonments, maybe ways in which you shame and blame yourself, judge yourself. Maybe there's some kind of depression or despair that you're carrying. See, all of that is dots. All that sort of clouds the issue, if you will. It stands between you and being able to see a deeper reality, something else that is present here in you as you. And that is a process to uncover. So one of the keys I'm going to be talking about over the next 7 or 8 videos is, what are those keys to begin to unclutter or remove the dots? But today, let's look at your heaven. So what I'd like you to do, and you can do it now or pause it and pause this video, or you could do it later, is get out a sheet of paper. And I want you to write down heaven is. I'm going to have to put on my glasses. I want you to write down heaven is. And then I want you to list everything you can think of that heaven is for you. Now, this could be certainly things in the world. Maybe heaven is a beautiful house, a home, some kind of car you want to drive. Maybe it's finding that Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. Maybe it is health for you. Maybe it's a wonderful vacation. Maybe it's a dream job. Heaven can be a lot of things in the world. I want you to write those down. And then I want you to take a look at, if they are the things in the world, to say, okay, if I had that, what would I experience? If I was driving around in that car that's heaven to me, what would be my experience? If I met that person that I've always longed for, what would be my experience? If I took that dream vacation, if I got that job, that position, what would be my experience? So I'd like to suggest that the symbols of the world are great pointers, if you will, to the inside experience of heaven. Because remember, when I first started this video, I had the life of every one of those symbols and more. And yet I did not have a heaven inside. So that's what really we're going for, okay? But then after you've made that list, maybe there's other things that you want in your heaven. Like maybe it's more balance in your life, less stress. Maybe it's peace of mind. Maybe it's to unburden yourself from the past. Perhaps it is wealth and happiness, or joy, or loving. Maybe your heaven has a spiritual component. Maybe it has something to do with knowing the connection to source, whatever you call source, in a greater way. So write those down as well. In other words, write down everything that you can think of or imagine or visualize at this time that is your heaven. Okay? So that's what I'd like you to do first. And then the second part of this, again, if you want to pause this video or do this later, the second part of this is really a visualization. And I want to read you right from the book, okay? And I have to put on my glasses to do that, so sorry about the glare. Take a deep breath and close your eyes and ask your inner guidance, what is heaven? Now, imagine that you're facing a large movie screen. And as you continue to breathe deeply and calmly, allow whatever images arise to slowly appear on the screen. Make a mental note of your experience. Take a look. What you see might surprise you. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And be sure and write that down as well. An inner guide. Asking an inner guide what your heaven is. Good. So again, just to recap, the book is You Can Make It Heaven, How to Enrich Your Life with Abundance and Loving. There'll be a link in the text if you'd like to purchase the book, either as a hardback or ebook. I have both of them available. And let me see, what will be our next video? Ooh. The next one will be, you don't need fixing, you need loving. Look forward to next time. Oh, one more thing. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So there's a little button up there that says subscribe. So if you do subscribe, every time I post one of these videos, you'll get a notice. Okay, bye for now.